Here is a TPI 220 volt heater. It is the model H474TMC. It is a 4,000 watt heater, 16.7 amps. I got this for the garage. It recommends a 10 gauge wire. I have a 12 gauge wire in there, so it's not really what it recommends. However, it is a 20 amp circuit, so we're within spec, and because the run is so short, I think it's probably not even 10 feet. I think it'll be okay. Obviously I'll run it under supervision first to make sure. But I'm going to use this in the garage, and the reason I needed a 240 volt is because the garage shares the same circuit as this room does. And the problem is the Christmas tree is going to go there, so I can't have a heater running off of that circuit because it eats up pretty much the entire capacity of the circuit. So we have a 220 heater in the garage. It can do its own thing and not interfere with any of the other outlets. I don't think that we need this much power in there because I've been running a standard household 120 volt heater, 1500 watt heater, and it's been holding the temperature fine even when it was down into the 20s. But the electrical situation is going to cause us to need something else. So let's get this out of the box here. Got a pretty good deal on this. I bought it off of the e-rip-off. I made an offer on it and got it a fair bit below retail. Every now and again you can get a decent deal on there, but it's definitely much more scarce than it used to be. So this is allegedly new, but I'm not sure if it's going to need to be serviced or if the bearings are going to be dry or whatever. I don't know how long this has been sitting around. So we've got a 2-speed fan with temperature control. You hear it click on and off there. It's got a basic shaded pole motor in there, C-frame. Probably definitely going to want to oil up those bearings every couple of weeks. This is going to be getting a lot of use. Oh, that's just a warning. I thought that was some informations. Here's the informations. I don't see a date on there. Unfortunately, it's made in China. Despite being made in China, I find the TPI stuff to really be quite good quality. This is an all-metal unit. It's very heavy. Looks like the design is pretty simple. Just coils wrapped around a ceramic insulator. All metal casing. So let's go ahead and turn this thing on. Let's see what gauge this wire is. I'm just curious here. I don't think that we're going to have a problem. Right now we might have a problem because I'm going to plug it in upstairs where the air conditioner was, and that's a pretty long run. That's got to be at least 50-60 feet plus the extensions of the 25. So this is definitely exceeding what it should be up here. But for a brief control test, I'm not concerned about it. So this wire is actually only 14 gauge. So I think the 12 is just fine. It's a 220 plug, 220 20 amps. So we'll go ahead and plug this in here. And I'll go ahead and plug in the extension. pretty sure I never turned this off, so it should be on. Outlet should be on. Okay. It is live. We have a power indicator is on, and that is in fact a neon light. That's pretty cool. Start up with the low. Actually seems like it's running just fine even up here. I'm going to cut this fan off for a moment so we can hear what it sounds like. Not that it matters because it's going to be in the garage. The noise level is inconsequential. The heat output is unimpressive. It's all pieces of styrofoam in there. It's a pretty wide output, so it could be deceiving. The air is moving slowly and it's not super hot, but the output it's a very large area, so it could be outputting quite a bit. I think they claimed that this was like 14 or 16,000 BTU, somewhere in that range. Let's go to the high. And here the fan bogged down a bit, so it's not changing the fan speed, it's only changing the coil temperature. I don't have a 240 volt kilowatts, if that even is a thing, I don't know. This is throwing out some pretty good heat now. I still wouldn't say that it's really impressive. For 16 amps at 240 volts, I thought this would really throw out some serious heat. It'll definitely be adequate for the garage, but it's really unimpressive. It's a lot of heat, but it's just not what I thought it would be. Seems like the fan is pretty well lubricated, so that's good. It outputs air throughout the entirety of the grate, and while the air isn't super scalding hot, nor is it rushing out, it's a very large air output, so it may work better than it seems. There was a lot of mixed commentary on the reviews that I read for this thing, and they all need to be taken with like the whole entire bottle of salt, because half of them are not using the product correctly and half of them have unrealistic expectations. But a couple of people said that it just wasn't overly impressive, and some people said it was. I've never used any other heaters of this fashion before, so I don't have anything to compare it to. But I mean, a 120 volt heater, the opening is, you know, that much, so this is probably 3 times that. So quite possibly it may heat really well. Gotta put it in the room and see how it performs. I like that the air isn't scalding hot on low. On high it actually gets pretty hot though. Not enough that I can't keep my hand here, but it is very hot. Well, we'll see how this works. If it works really, really well, I almost wonder, well, I can't run both. I only got one outlet. I couldn't run one in here and one downstairs at the same time, but I almost wonder if it's more economical than the propane stove. It's kind of inconsequential because I bought a pellet stove to put there anyways, so it doesn't matter anymore, but just an item of curiosity. Oh, it's definitely throwing some good heat now on high here. So then I'm going to go ahead and put this in the garage and let it run for a while and see what happens. I just took a look in the manual and I noticed something very rare. It says the motor in your heater requires oiling. Use 1 or 2 drops of SAE 20 oil on the bearing areas of the motor prior to each heating season. So they advertise that it needs to be oiled. That's good. Very good. After further evaluation of the manual, which I realize I should have just looked at the whole thing before turning the video off, there is a date of 10/20/1998. So this could have quite a bit of age to it, which would explain the description of the oiling and the decent performance.